What do you think this is all about? What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life. This is a way of life.
Hey, BALLBUSTERS, Bates here with your friend of mine, Ray Mungus, ready to ring in the bloody new year on episode 10 of Way of Life Live. How is everybody doing tonight? How are you doing tonight, Ray?
Doing pretty good. Cold, but not complaining too much. I have my bathrobe. I have my coffee, so I'm good.
So you look like the dude right now, huh?
I'm very much in the dude mode, except I got a beard trim, so I don't look as much like the dude.
Alright, the Bates abides.
Yes, sir.
How was your New Year's?
Completely uneventful. I think I accomplished loading up this Star Wars: The Old Republic game. So that was my big New Year's party. I spent many hours downloading and installing the game. How about you?
We did not go out this year. We went out the last 2 years, so we decided to stay home. We were just with family.
I actually missed that from like last year. I remember your drunken text at like 4 o'clock in the morning, stranded in New York, to me.
Well, it wasn't my fault we were stranded in New York last year.
No, but we're not going to name any names.
So yeah, we hung at home with family this year. Just drank at home and played some board games. We had fun.
Hey man, sometimes that's all you really need. You know, just a little low-key evening and you're good to go. Good way to bring in the new year.
Yeah, we played fucking Trivial Pursuit 80s edition. Good fucking lord, you had to be like 40 years old in the 1980s to understand what this some of the questions in this game.
I think you could only buy that if you own a leather jacket with spikes on it, if I read correctly.
I mean, like,
maybe a mohawk.
I was born in the 80s, so I really didn't know it. But I mean, obviously, I know the 80s pretty good. But seriously, you needed to have been like 30 or 40 years old in the 80s to answer some of these questions.
Yeah, I feel that way about a lot of those type of games. You know, like I'll get all excited about the premise, pop it in. You know, so like I played a couple of them that are DVD based. I'd pop them in, and I would not recognize a goddamn one of them. Like the same could be said like a horror trivia thing. Like I have close to, I would say, probably 1,000 horror movies in my collection, and some of these questions that I've seen in these type of games just went right over my head.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I mean, it was really funny. Every time somebody landed on a sports category, nobody knew the answer. I think if we had 30 or 40 sports questions, maybe 2 got answered right. But I'm reading them off, and I bet you, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I bet you Tom and John T would know the answer to every one of these questions.
The minute you mentioned sports, those are the 2 people I immediately thought of.
I'm like, the only 2 savants that I know when it comes to sports in any era, in any sport, who would know the answers to these questions would have been those 2.
Oh, without question.
But I mean, even like I consider myself pretty versed in 80s movies. I mean, half the questions they asked, I was just like, whoa, really?
Yeah, they're really obscure most of the time. It'll be like, okay, remember the main person in, you know, Fast Times at Ridgemont High or something like that? Who was the asshole standing by the punch bowl, you know, that didn't have a name or didn't have any dialogue?
Yeah, there was one question about, I can't even remember the question. All I remember is the movie they were mentioning. The movie was Inner Space and was about 2 of the actors in Inner Space that did something else with somebody else. And I'm like, the only fucking person I remember from Inner Space was Martin Short. And naturally, he wasn't even one of the right answers.
Inner Space, is that the one where they shrink down and go into the person?
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, I actually had that movie and Zapped, oddly enough, taped on a VHS. I used to watch both of them back to back. That was my like double feature Saturday when I was bored as a kid.
Oh god! I mean, at least Inner Space had Martin Short as Zap. That was a Scott Baio film, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
I don't know, man. I just back in like the early '90s, you didn't have a hell of a lot of options. You either watched whatever was on the Saturday morning or Saturday night movie, or like baseball. You know, like especially if you had like just the basic cable channels or the basic regular channels.
no, that does not give you the right to buy a movie with Chachi in it, all right?
Oh nope! I didn't buy it. We recorded it off the TV.
I don't care. You put time and effort into it. Then that's even worse.
I didn't do it. I blame my parents. That's all I had.
You wasted a blank freaking videotape on Chachi, man. That is not cool.
As embarrassing it is as it is to admit, you know, I still have a special place in my heart for Zapped. And I just found out recently it had a sequel. Like I never heard of it. It's been like 30 years, and I just found out about it.
That's news to me. But I you know what's really funny, and it's like so stupid. But growing up, when I was real small, I used to love Inner Space. I thought Inner Space was such a cool movie. I mean, the shrinking down and going into a body. That's awesome. And then there was another movie I used to love to watch as a kid, and I used to get the two titles mixed up all the time. I couldn't remember which movie was which, and it was Inner Space and Batteries Not Included. The two, they couldn't be further apart from...
I was just about to say, like, completely different ball games.
But for whatever reason, I would always get the two titles of those movies mixed up when I was a kid. And I love both movies. I love Batteries Not Included. That is such a great movie.
I do too, but I only remember bits and pieces. It's like little memory flashbacks for me. And I'm afraid to watch it again. Like,
no, it holds up. It really does. It does. It does. It holds up. It's still very endearing. It's still a very warm and sweet movie, but it's still funny in some. It's not as funny, but I mean, the movie still does look great. Even the effects with the little aliens, they still look great. It holds up, man. It really does.
Yeah, maybe I have to give it a shot. It's just I have. That movie was one of those ones that was a rare appearance on basic television, but when it was on, I just, you know, I was glued to the television. You know, I wouldn't be bothered. I don't care how late I had to be up to watch it. I was watching it, but yeah, it's been a really long time. So I was like, for a longest time, I was worried about, you know, it not holding up.
How can all right, listen. How can a movie that features alien robot mini UFO creatures who flip hamburgers and work in a crummy diner? That's awesome.
You can't go wrong with that.
Dude, like I don't know who wrote that movie, but it's like I want to shake their hand, man. That's
I want to see what they were on, you know, because I'm down to try some, you know, whatever.
Before we get into you know, the meat and potatoes of today's episode, I want to let you know that you know who was this week's guest on Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal Podcast?
No, who?
Larry Cohen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, dude.
How was the episode?
It was, dude, Larry is great. He's got some funny fucking stories about Fred Williamson. They did a lot of talking about It's Alive. They didn't touch on the stuff at all. They only mentioned it in his, you know, his credits, but they did talk a lot about It's Alive and how that movie had, it had its first life and it was like nothing, and then it got like revived 3 years later, and then and it was a massive hit. Yeah, he was great. He really was. I hope they get him back again.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna give that a shot because I love so many of his movies, and you know what kind of Fred Williamson fan I am, so I have to hear what he has to say about Black Caesar at least.
Oh, he's got great stories to tell about Black Caesar. One of my favorites is sorry to spoil it for you, but it's a really, really great story for anybody who's seen Black Caesar. Where they were filming Black Caesar was run by a lot of like black gangsters, and another movie had just finished filming there, and the black gangsters were like shaking down the film crews to have the crews pay them so they could film there. Well, when Larry Cohen came in for Black Caesar, they did the same thing to him. So Larry Cohen didn't have the money to pay these guys. So what he did was, hey, can any of you guys act? Do you want to be in the movie? And
that's amazing.
he hired a bunch of these real life black gangsters to like be Fred Williamson's like secondhand guys.
That's a really clever way to handle that situation. And you know what's crazy about that too? Like that was happening all those years ago, and we're kind of experiencing the same thing. Not we, but Netflix with the show Narcos, with the Mexican cartel. They're pulling the same. They're pulling the same sort of thing when it comes to that television show. Unfortunately, there was a death regarding that one.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
But yeah, that's a clever way to handle it, and it keeps the peace. And more than likely, that set was probably the safest place to be with everybody there. Filling in roles, and that's their turf. Nobody's going to come and crash that set and try to move in.
No, not at all. So I mean, he had a lot of really good stories.
Yeah, I'm going to give that a listen for sure.
Yeah, definitely, man. As I said, I hope they get him back again for another episode.
We should try to get Fred Williamson on that show. Just because, I mean, that man has been in so many crazy movies, and he was in the Super Bowl. So, like, imagine those stories.
Well, you do have his business card.
I do. That story's for another time, though. So you know what? We really need to get to that fucking episode already. We've spent 10 episodes saying, "Hey, we're gonna talk about that another time later."
Yeah. We've only been teasing that episode for 2.5 months now.
Yeah, and then watch, we're gonna be doing that episode, and it's gonna be straight up like nobody's gonna be on to watch it, and we're just gonna be geeking out by ourselves.
So anyway, Happy New Year's, guys. This is the first episode of 2018. And since last week, haven't gotten too much news, but we did get a lot of trailer drops and a few little tidbits here and there.
Yeah, it feels like the machine's just starting back up. The car's warming up, and we're going to be getting back to basics very shortly.
Yeah, well, the car ain't warming up where we're living right now.
Yeah, I know. It's like 20 degrees, and my floor that I live on is completely uninsulated. It's like freezing in here.
Yeah, and right now we're in the midst of hang on. I have what is the name? We're in the middle of something right now called a bomb cyclone. And then
sounds as great as it is.
After the bomb cyclone hits us, we have a polar vortex coming in. I tweeted out the other day, I feel like I'm in a fucking comic book and the Wizard is just fucking us right now. Like someone needs to summon the Flash to go take care of him, seriously.
Yeah, but he screws up the timeline way too much, man. We're gonna be doing like a romantic comedy podcast if he comes in and fixes the weather.
Alright, well, I'm sure Green Arrow can handle it then.
Alright, I'll take that. Let's get Deathstroke. Oh wait, he can't be used anymore. Throwing shade at DC.
Oh. So right now we are in a deep freeze. We have some kind of crazy, like, winter hurricane coming to hit us right now. I don't know what it is. Where we could either get 1 to 3 inches or we could get a foot of snow. The weather guys don't even know.
Yeah, I follow like 5 weather people in this area. And, they're just bouncing back and forth between totals. And me, I'm simple. Like, I just like the look of the snow outside. You know what I mean? Like, just give me some snow and I'll be happy.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see what happens tonight and tomorrow morning. As of right now, I'm still going into work. But that could change. I could get text from my job saying, yeah, no, we're closed. I don't see that happening, though, but you never know. Anyway, so, let's see. So one of the big things is anyone who has followed this movie called Death House, it is sort of a horror all-stars movie. I believe the project was originally started by Gunnar Hansen before he passed away. He's in the movie, but I do believe originally it is his project or part of his project. And this movie has been in production hell for years, right?
Yeah, it's been one of those type of movies that basically just sat there in production while fans talked it up, and like we just all knew it was eventually going to come, and year after year would pass, and we wouldn't get any news or anything, or like a smattering of news. But it finally looks like we might actually be getting it.
Well, I had made a tweet. I tweeted out a few days ago. Hang on, let me see if I can actually just pull it up real quick. I was actually kind of being mean, and saying that
it paid off.
I guess. But yeah, I was kind of being mean, and not mean, but
snarky.
Yeah, snarky. Snarky's the right word. I was saying, all I said was, "Is this movie ever going to come out?" And then Death House, the Twitter account, replied to me, and they go, "Yep, February 23rd." And then I replied, "Yeah, that's fucking awesome. It's about time." And I got a like from Bill Moseley, so that made my day.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
Dude, you know who else liked it?
Who's that?
D. Wallace.
I responded to that. D. Wallace liked it, and Felissa Rose as well.
Yes, Felissa Rose too, man.
So like we're getting a little bit of people that are in there. That's just like a preview of the cast of this movie. They've been calling this movie the Expendables of horror for years. Like it's got a cast that impressive as far as the greats that we've all grown up watching. Yeah, and it was cool. Being on Twitter, everybody's on Twitter, but it's when you get a like from a celebrity a celebrity you like, a celebrity you adore, I don't know, it's a like is so stupid, but when you see that their name pop up, and then you go and check the account to make sure it's them, and you see the little check mark, it makes you feel happy. You know who the best, who the coolest person ever to like one of my tweets was? I got you beat, but go on. I don't know if you got my... I do. I don't know. All right, let's hear it. All right, one of the coolest people ever like one of my tweets, fucking Ice-T. He's cool, but he's not Mark Hamill cool. All right, a Jedi or one of the baddest gangsters ever. I don't know. I'll do a poll on Twitter. I'll give you the edge because the geek culture, obviously I'm a geek culture guy. You got the win on that for Mark Hamill, but I mean Ice-T is fucking, you don't get cooler than Ice-T. Seriously. Amen. I give credit where credit is due. That's a pretty good like. I mean, like you said before, it's silly and stuff like that, but at the same time, it kind of grounds these people to our level. Like not to say that they're, not to say that, they're in the same situations as us, but, like, they're human too, and they're sitting there on their phones bored, scrolling just like we are, happen to see somebody say something nice and, throw them a little attention, which is pretty cool. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely pretty cool. It makes you, it just brightens up your day a little bit. It's like, oh, that's awesome. So let's getting back to the original topic at hand. February 23rd seems to be the new release date for Death House. It had been delayed, I don't know, like 6 times at this point. So I'm really looking forward to the movie. The movie does look like a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm glad that it's finally getting a theatrical release. I'm sure they've had many options for a straight-to-DVD or video-on-demand release, but, in the age where you put so much time, effort, pride, the stereotypical blood, sweat, and tears into this project, you may as well see it released on a big screen. Now, I'm not sure exactly if this entertainment company that's bringing it into the theaters are really going to pony up the big bucks for it. We're probably going to see a limited theatrical release from it, but the fact that it's going to be realized on the big screen for these guys is, it's a good thing. And the cast, they deserve it. You got Kane Hodder, D. Wallace, Adrienne Barbeau, Sid Haig, Michael Berryman, Tony Todd, Barbara Crampton, Bill Mills. I could go on for hours. Like this, if you've seen them in an '80s movie, they're probably in this movie.
Yep, pretty much. And as I said, I do believe it was Gunnar Hansen's original project. I also believe it's probably the last film he was in before he passed away. Which is, and I think it deserves a theatrical release, despite the fact that Gunnar Hansen in person, kind of a dickhead.
I wasn't going to say dickhead, but he wasn't the most friendly. But, it's... You go to conventions and stuff, you have a number of potential reasons why you might be a little bit unfriendly, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, out of all the conventions I've been to, there's only been a real handful of people who've just been a straight up dick. He was one of them. He wasn't the most friendly of people, sadly, but I think I kind of pissed him off a little bit. Sadly, I'd have to kind of group Tony Todd into that situation, because he was just getting up to go to lunch when I got to his table, and I was just begging him just to get the autograph. Because the autograph wasn't even for me. It was that time during the Crow reunion where I got paid to get a bunch of autographs for this person, and I just wanted to get them all done, and he was the last one I needed, and I was just begging. I was like, "Come on, dude! I don't know if I'm gonna have time to come back." I was just making up all these lies, and I sort of pissed him off, and he kind of gave me an attitude about that.
Yeah, those are really long days. And to jump back to Gunnar real quick. From almost everybody that I've met or everybody that I've talked to about over the years, they said that Gunnar was a real nice person. And they were surprised to hear my story when I'd be like, "Hey, he wasn't that nice." So I think we may have caught him on the wrong day, personally, but
yeah,
it is what it is. We met Leatherface, and we're on with that.
Yeah. It is what it is. It sucks that we had to meet like that, and we don't get he doesn't get a chance to redeem himself. I mean, I've met Kane Hodder before, and somehow when I was a kid, nonetheless, and I somehow pissed him off. And
I'm starting to wonder if you pissed Gunnar Hansen off, and then I met him after you.
I did not piss him off. All right?
I'm just saying, you might have said something to him, and then I just happened to stroll into the room while he's motherfuckering you, and I had a bad experience.
No, I don't know why Kane got so pissed at me. I had to be about 14 or 15 years old. I was really young. It was one of my first conventions. You know what? It was the Fangoria Weekend of Horrors Chiller Theater convention.
Yeah, I was at that, and it's oddly enough, like, we weren't friends at the time either. So the funny thing is, we're probably walking by each other and didn't even fucking know it.
And I was in his line. And I was really, really excited to meet him. And I asked him if I could see his kill tattoo that he has tattooed on the inside of his bottom lip. And he got so mad at me about it. I don't know why. To this day, I still don't understand why. The only thing I can fathom is because this was around the time where we all learned that he wasn't... It might have been... No, this was 2004?
That convention? It was 2004. Mm-hmm.
All right, so this was a year after Freddy vs. Jason. And obviously, he was still pretty pissed about not being in that movie. And he had gotten the kill tattoo because of his constant playing of Jason. So that's what that tattoo was. It was an homage to him playing Jason, 4 times. And I think... Even though he's there signing all this Jason memorabilia, he's signing DVD covers and masks and all this shit, and I asked to see a tattoo, and he gets fucking mad at me. I got really I've met him a few times since then, and he's been much better. But I mean, it really put me off to me, like, not really caring about ever meeting him again.
I've met him about 3 times, and he is the most playful and jolly big dude you'd ever meet. Like he's this giant guy that's pretty imposing, and then it's almost like he's a practical joker. Like, you'll go up to his table, and he'll apologize, say, "Hold on a second," run over to somebody else's table and, like, smack somebody in the back of the head and run back. He's like a giant child just having a blast. But you don't tell Kane Hodder this because he'll probably choke you to death. As far as, your experience with him, telling somebody to open their mouth and show them your lip is a little invasive, maybe.
Oh my god, invasive. Okay.
Come on, it's like if some random ass person walked up to you on the street and said, "Hey man, open your mouth. I want to see something real quick in there."
He didn't even have to open his mouth. He just all to pull down his lip a little bit. He could have scratched his chin and pulled down his lip. All right.
That's true, but I'm just saying.
All right, I didn't ask him, for if I could give him a freaking prostate exam.
You might as well have.
But as I said, I've met him a few times since, and he's been better. I guess it was just maybe he was just sensitive. I don't know. But thankfully, I have not had many bad encounters. I've had way more good encounters than bad encounters. And we will get into this in that fabled convention episode we continue to talk about.
Yeah, that episode's probably never going to happen. I mean, like, I wanted to, but we all know that we're just going to keep teasing it, and eventually, maybe it'll come, maybe it won't. Who knows?
So February 23rd, we are finally getting Death House. If you have not seen the trailer for this movie, go check it out. It looks fun. But if I'm going to give my honest opinion, it does look a little messy. It looks like we might get a kind of an incoherent movie. But, I mean, I could be wrong. It just could be the way the trailer's cut. It also could just be the fact that the movie is supposed to have a lot going on. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it myself. And I fully expect it to be a popcorn flick. I guess my biggest reservation that I have with it seems to be shot on digital. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when you shoot horror movies on digital, you have to kind of like mess the movie up a little bit. Like you always want to try to go backwards and give it that 35 millimeter feel to it, because horror movies generally don't feel right without it, especially a movie like Death House. So I've only seen the trailer so far, so I could give or take on how it's going to ultimately turn out, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, definitely looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to it for a couple years now, so we only have another month and a half to wait.
And we'll definitely be seeing it. If it's in theaters, go check it out yourself, or when it hits video on demand, DVD, and all that good stuff.
I'm hoping it gets a like an Alamo run. It'd be cool to see that at the Alamo.
Yeah, we should definitely do that. I mean, with us having Dead Entertainment as well, I feel obligated. Like we should go up to the Alamo and see some of this stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely. Especially just for, shit for the site. Because I don't know how many of the other writers we have right now are actually going to go out of their way to a specialty theater to see this movie if it gets a release like that. So we might be the only ones who would be able to cover it.
Yeah, that's true, and not every area has has those type of theaters nearby. Like, I mean, we got a little bit of a drive to get to it, but the Alamo it feels like home, so we look for any excuse to go up there.
Pretty much. So the last few days we have gotten a bunch of trailer drops for some interesting movies. Some I'm looking forward to, some I could really care less about. One of the ones that I personally could care less about, because I've never been invested into the story or the character or the games or anything about it, is the Slender Man movie. We got that trailer drop the other day. And I've watched it twice now. And the effects don't look very good, but I mean, that could, they could still be polishing them up. So I'm not going to take that into account at the moment. But I don't know. It just seems very generic to me. I mean, maybe it's just me.
I checked out the trailer a little bit before the episode because I had a busy day. But I took a look at it, and the first thing that came off to me about it was that it looks very much like The Ring. It has like that creepy VHS tape vibe when you watch The Ring's Curse tape. A lot of the trailer has many elements that were obviously lifted from that.
Yeah, flashing crazy images and
like worms and maggots and like trees growing out of eyes or something like, I don't know.
And little girls with really, really long hair.
Yeah, but the one thing that stood out to me about this trailer and kind of makes me want to see it is you could tell that they pulled some inspiration for this movie from the incident that happened in 2014 where the teenage girls lured a girl into the woods and stabbed her. I don't know if she survived offhand, but I watched a documentary on it on Netflix not too long ago. That documentary basically switched me onto the whole Slenderman lore because I like Matt over here. I really never had much of an interest. I saw the games, I played the games, and I was like, okay, whatever, I get it. Loud noises, whatever. But it wasn't until this documentary that I became interested in the grip that it had on like young children and teenagers and the internet culture as a whole.
Well, I think there was actually already a movie. The fuck was the name of it? It was titled like Marble Hornets or something like that.
Yeah.
And
What was related to Slenderman or the killing?
Well, I think that's supposed to be. Oh, it was a series or a character inspired by the Slender Man online mythos. So it's technically supposed to be Slender Man, but it's like a different incarnation of Slender Man. But there was a movie.
But basically inspired by.
Yes, it's called Always Watching, a Marble Hornet story, and it's pretty much a Slender Man movie. It came out in 2015. As far as I know, it wasn't very good.
Yeah, this looks like a big studio taking their hand at it, and based off of how well or not so well rather the Rings movie did, I don't know how successful this Slender Man movie is going to be. Me personally, like I said before, I'm a little bit interested because it reminds me of that real life killing or real life stabbing. I'm not sure if they died or not, but I'm a sucker for true crime stories and things like that, so I might check it out.
Yeah, it just seems like this movie was like 6 years too late.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And that's Hollywood in a nutshell. They get on this huge trend. That's taking over the internet, and then it sits on the desk for 5 years before they actually move on it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if this movie came out in 2011, 2012, I think maybe I kind of would have been a little bit more invested in it because that's when Slender Man was all big. But now it's like, oh, all right. Okay, sure.
Yes, and what's worse about that is that Sci-Fi Channel is basically doing this whole creepypasta thing, right with that one show, Channel Zero.
Yes, Channel Zero's had some cool stuff that
yeah.
Tooth Fairy.
They take stories that are based off of creepypastas that are popular on the internet, and then they put out like a 6 or 7 episode season. And generally, it's been like the best way to describe some of this stuff that's on this show is like nightmare fuel. It's crazy stuff, crazy imagery.
Yep, I mean the Tooth Fairy, Tooth Monster thing. I was like, I'm done. You win. You win, show.
I sent that to my brother the other day, and he had to send me like 6 messages to get the GIF off of his screen. He's like, I couldn't have that thing on my screen anymore.
Yeah, no, that is the most frightening thing I've ever seen. So yeah, kudos, Channel Zero, you win. I am not watching you anymore. Good job. So Slender Man, it looks very generic. Am I going to go see it in the theater? I'm kind of hoping somebody else from the website is going to. Because I don't want to.
Fine. You know what I need to do? I need to get that movie pass thing, so that I could just go see him whenever I want.
You're speaking of that, which should not be named.
I forgot. I'm not supposed to say that.
Breaking the rules, man.
Strike one.
So another trailer that dropped was the trailer for Truth. It's called Truth or Dare, right?
Truth or Dare, yeah.
And well, it's definitely interesting. It's got a very Final Destination type vibe to it.
Gives me a little bit of Scream as well. Like, character-wise, you know, it had a bit of the teenage vibe from Scream. That's at least what popped into my head while watching it.
Oh, yeah, a little bit. I'm just kind of confused by the story. I mean, I don't get it. So they go to Mexico, and then the one kid brought them to Mexico to this place because he had to, and now they are possessed to the point where they have to keep playing Truth or Dare until they're all dead. I mean, it's obviously just a trailer, but I kind of like to know the story before I go see a movie, and this story just is weird.
Yeah, I was a little bit off on that, but I don't mind that because trailers, I feel they give away too much these days. You know, like sometimes when I see a movie trailer and go see the movie, I'm in the theater waiting for these moments to happen. You know, and they're always like very groundbreaking moments where a kill happens and stuff, and you see a lot of that stuff within this trailer as well. But you're always waiting for that connective tissue to tie all the trailer beats together, and you're like, oh, well, that movie offered me nothing. So the fact that I don't know exactly what's happening in the story is kind of a relief, because I don't want to know what's happening in it too much. The trailer impressed me enough to want to get off my ass and check it out.
Yeah, something else that bothered me about the trailer is that I guess like whenever one of these kids was possessed by whatever they were possessed by, all of a sudden they turned into the Joker with this crazy smile.
Yeah, I guess I really didn't pick up on that too much. It didn't bother me enough to look at it.
Oh, watch the trailer again, because now that's all you're gonna see. It's just Joker smiles everywhere.
Well, I appreciate that. Maybe this is like a secret Batman movie, like that one movie was a secret alien movie or whatever.
So, but overall, the movie does look like a hang on a sec. It sort of looks like a new Final Destination series. That's what it looks like it's trying to be. Whether or not it kicks off that way, I don't know. Hang on. Shit. Hey, sorry about that.
All right.
So yeah, it looks like it's supposed to be like a new Final Destination series. Whether it's going to turn into that, it's going to turn into a franchise, I don't know. But that's the biggest vibe I got from the trailer.
I'm going to make a bold claim, and I'm going to say that this movie might be the next big thing. Like, for some reason, it was while watching this trailer, I'm just picturing sequels galore. Like, this might be the next Scream. This might be the next Saw. Or The Purge. You know, that sort of that new trend where we get one every year, sort of thing. Like, it's something about it screaming to me that's the route it's going to take.
Yeah. It just has that type of formula to it where they could just keep cranking them out year after year.
Yeah, and I gotta give it credit. Blumhouse is absolutely killing it. You know, like I'm excited that like we're getting original content. You know, from these guys, we're getting movies that aren't the same old thing over and over again. So, you know, I'm pretty excited to see this movie and whatever they release in the future.
Yeah, no, they've been pretty spot on with a lot of their releases and stuff they've been doing lately. So, I mean, I do have a lot of faith in them. So hopefully this one will turn out pretty good. The last trailer that got dropped is probably the one I'm most excited for, and I don't know why, because the trailer is just the weirdest thing ever. But I kind of like the way they laid the trailer out for this movie, which is really why I'm excited for it. The movie is The Night Sitter, and stars it's Emma Stone, isn't it?
No. So it looks similar. Stars Elise Dufour. I apologize if I said that wrong.
Oh my God! Really? That wasn't Emma Stone?
And she had a little bit of a vibe to her, that's for sure. Jack Champion, who is in Avatar.
Yes.
And Jermaine Rivers, who is in Fox's The Gifted, the X-Men show that's out.
Huh. I could have swore that was Stone. All right. The movie is just really... The trailer was just really creepy, but just very well put together. It honestly does not give you much of the story at all. You actually have to read the synopsis to just kind of understand what's going on in the trailer.
Yeah, like I watched the trailer and I knew immediately that I wanted to see it because not only did it like throw back to Dario Argento type of cinematography, but and George Romero in Creepshow for that matter, but just... You know, it had such a very cool vibe, and it strung you along enough to want to see what was at the end of that hallway or what was going to be behind that curtain. You know, it was very interesting. And then I was like, okay, I'm in. I definitely want to check this out. Then I checked out the synopsis, and I was like, holy shit, this movie is going to be so much more because, like, it's batshit crazy and crazy in a good way.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what kind of vibe I get from the movie. I'm not sure what it's giving me, but it's almost... God, some of the imagery, I felt like this... I was getting like a dark horror version of like the Chronicles of Narnia.
That's a weird connection, but I'll take it.
I really don't know. There was a couple of images that seemed like they were very otherworldly, and at the end of the day, I really liked what I saw, despite not understanding it, and I'm really, really looking forward to this movie after that trailer.
Yeah, I honestly like I said in the when we were talking about the last trailer, I like movies that kind of intrigue you in different ways. I don't want to know the entire movie in the trailer, but I want to see through the director's eyes, like why we should be interested in this, and want to embrace the mystery behind the story.
Yeah, it has to do with somehow summoning by accident these 3 witches, and
yeah, it's out there, but damn it, if horror needs something, it needs out there and original and interesting type of movies. And the way this movie is looking so far, it blew me away as far as just the general vibe and the how beautiful everything looked.
Yeah, it looks like a very beautiful movie. So if you guys haven't seen the trailer for this one, The Night Sitter, go ahead, check it out. It's definitely worth it. It should pique your interest like it piqued ours.
Yeah, and the best thing about it is it's not exactly an independent movie, but it's not done by a huge studio. So a movie like this definitely could use support. So definitely look into the Facebook accounts, look into the Twitter, check out the trailers, follow them on all their accounts and stuff like that, because I have a feeling that this movie is going to be a surprise hit.
Yes, definitely. I think it's going to be one of the bigger, like kind of under the radar movies coming out this year.
And we've got quite a few of them, and I'm glad that we're at the point where we're sitting here talking about movies that aren't going to see the light of day in like a mass theatrical release, or maybe they will. Maybe it'll pick up later on, but it's really nice to not just have to talk about Halloween remake news or things like that, but more of the smaller screen cinema, and don't take that as if I'm saying it's less impressive, because by what you see in the trailer, you could tell that this could hang with the big boys. So check it out.
So moving on, it looks like a very odd release in my opinion, but Sleepaway Camp 4: The Survivor is getting a final cut Blu-ray release.
This is the original Sleepaway Camp 4, not Return to Sleepaway Camp, which was okay-ish, I guess. This is the movie that had a lot of production issues and basically stopped filming midway through production, maybe even sooner than midway through production, and then it was just shelved.
All right, which one? I don't know if it was this one or The Return, but which one starred the chick who somehow survived from the first one?
That's a huge spoiler, but Return to Sleepaway Camp. That was the one that was made, I believe, by the original director years later after this one got packed away. This one, Sleepaway Camp 4: The Survivor, was originally a bonus disc on the Sleepaway Camp Survival Kit DVD. It came in like a box set that had all the Sleepaway Camp movies and a little disc that was in a cardboard sleeve or whatever, and it contained a half hour worth of production footage of the original movie before it was canned. And later on, I believe this movie went ahead and took scenes from all the original movies, and somebody made finished the movie. And that's, I guess, what's being put out.
Yeah, I mean, it says there's 34 minutes, roughly, minutes of footage that was shot, and then the rest is all spliced together with footage from the older movies.
And this wouldn't be the first sequel to do that. I believe, if I remember correctly, House... what is it? Not House on the Edge of the Park. The Hills Have Eyes 2, the original sequel. From what I remember, it had mostly archive footage from the original movie, just flashbacks. And I don't know, I haven't seen it in a long time, but my buddy always joked that even the dog in whatever it is, even the dog had a flashback harkening back to the first movie.
Oh, and
Hills Have Eyes 2.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm worried. I'm glad that somebody took initiative to try to make something out of it, but did we really need it? And moreover, do we really need a Blu-ray of it?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I really don't think anybody was. I don't think anybody was really begging for this one.
No, but I mean, I digress. I'm probably gonna buy it simply because I have all the other ones, including the box set original disc. So yeah, I'm part of the problem. I'm not part of the solution. I'm just posing the questions of why I do this to myself.
Yeah, I don't hate that it's coming out. I'm sure that enough people are going to want to buy it. I just don't think this was something that needed to be done. It's as I said, I don't think many people are clamoring for a Blu-ray of this movie, but it is what it is. I mean, I've actually never seen it.
I didn't see the new cut. I watched the original disc, and it's basically just raw footage. Just stuff that they shot. It's not pieced together, in any particular fashion. It's just what it is, Just this is what we shot, and we put it on a bonus disc for you.
All right, yeah. So I'm sure this will just be a bit better quality, but how good can raw footage in Blu-ray format from 1992 look? I mean, it can't look that great, but whatever, people are going to buy it. I'm sure it's going to make a couple people happy. So, go for it, I say.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be more inclined to buy a sequel, even though that movie's kind of been beaten to death in the four and a half movies that it had. But it is what it is.
So yeah, I don't. Is there a date for this? I thought I just saw a date.
Let me look really quick. Insert elevator music here.
In 2018. That's all it says.
Okay, so probably not anytime soon. More than I would bet Halloween time it'd probably make its way, or during the summer because it's it takes place at a camp.
I mean the article that got released about this movie says this is from the people putting it out. We're looking to gauge interest so we can determine the number of copies we do for the run.
Oh, so it's probably gonna be a limited release.
And it's smart because you don't want to make 10,000 copies of a movie that only 200 people want to buy.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is that piece of land in the desert where they took out all the ET games from that they could put that in if they wanted to.
Yeah.
That's an option.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that hole's probably got a ton of room in it right now.
Yeah, definitely, man. And just be a myth about sleepaway camp being out there in the middle of the desert.
So moving on, we got an announcement from an indie game company named Wonder Games Studio about a new horror game they're looking to put out.
You're going to have to pitch me on this one because I know nothing. So sell this game to me. And why should I support it on Indiegogo?
I ain't gonna tell anyone to support it. I mean, I'm still looking more into it, but I've watched. They have like a 9-minute video that's got a bit of. It's got a trailer, and then it's got a bit of just straight gameplay. Now the game looks pretty clean, pretty smooth. The game is built on the Unity engine and not the Unreal engine. And basically, this game is sort of a combination of classic survival horror, clock tower, and like investigative horror games. So think like Resident Evil 1, the Clock Tower franchise, and the Fatal Frame franchise all rolled together into one game, and that looks like what we're getting. You play as a character, a photographer named Thomas, and he's stuck in what is the name of the place? Is it Wonder Park? You're stuck in this like crazy old rundown circus. I think it's called Wonder Park. And yeah, Wonder Park. And in different sections there are, I guess, different enemies. And these enemies are obviously these killers that are chasing you all game. Now you can't fight back. All you can do is run around and hide, and I'm guessing you're trying to figure out and solve puzzles and stuff to finally make your way out of this place. But there's no way to fight back. You have to run and avoid the killers and play very smart and hide, which is just like Clock Tower. Clock Tower was the same way up until really the third game, and even the third game there wasn't really much combat. There was no fighting. You couldn't do anything. You had to just be smart. The game does look pretty good. It looks pretty fun. The story sounds pretty good. It's just a matter of how in depth they go with the gameplay system, with their puzzles, and and a few other things. Right now they have a goal for 15,000. They have a stretch goal for 50,000 that if they hit it, they will include some type of multiplayer function.
How's it doing so far? Oh boy. I just saw.
Yeah, so they have it's been up for I think a day or two now, and they have 3 backers for $160.
Yeah. Not to say that's representation of the game's quality. I'm looking at the screenshots right now, and it's pretty impressive. You know, it's got a little bit of a Resident Evil 7 like aesthetic to it, especially the killers. The killers also kind of remind me of like the creeps that are stalking around that one game. What the hell is that game called? PlayStation 2 days where you go around killing people. Manhunt.
Oh,
Those killers have that sort of vibe to it. But overall, from what I'm looking at as I'm scrolling the Indiegogo page, it seems to be an impressive endeavor.
yeah, it's definitely a kind of game where I would be interested in it. I was a big fan of the Clock Tower series, so this game piqued my interest almost immediately as soon as I saw it. I'm going to be writing up an article on it that should be up on Dead Entertainment tomorrow, so you guys can read up on it a little bit more and get a bit more information on it. But I'm gonna wait right now. I don't want to back it immediately, but if I see an influx of people, starting to back it, I will definitely throw some money at it because I would like to see it get made.
Yeah, any chance a horror game could be like put out into the world is something worth looking into at the very least. Like we've gotten our fair share of horror games throughout the years, but they're still not as crazy mainstream as one would think. So, especially when it comes to these multiplayer type games and things like that. So, I would at least take a look at the link that we posted in the chat and give it a look. If it's something that you might want to play yourself, it might be worth supporting. Obviously, follow them on like social media for updates and things.
Yeah, so we will definitely be keeping our eyes on this game, and we'll be giving updates as the studio announces them. We'll be updating it on deadentertainment.com and stuff. But check it out, and if it's something you guys think you would like, I would say give it a few weeks, see if more people back it, and if they do, throw some money at it. It looks like it should be a good game. I mean, it's called Episode 1, so it's obviously they wanted to make it into a franchise, but they're gonna have to get over this $15,000 hump first before they can even think about that.
Yeah, just it just takes a little bit of time and effort, and some of these campaigns don't light on fire as quick as the others. So give it a few days, give it a few updates, few videos that they're gonna undoubtedly put up, and see what happens. I'm definitely gonna strap in and take a look and see what what they bring to the table.
Yep. All right, so moving on from that, so I wanted to take a minute to give a shout out and kind of talk about our friends over at FRIGHT RAGS. They have some new designs coming out, which they always do, but I mean it's a new year, so I thought it would be kind of cool to talk about some of the stuff they have coming up. One of my favorite things, I'm bringing it up right now, one of my favorite things that they have that they're working on is I'm not sure if it's an entire collection, but it's a Misery shirt.
I don't know if they had one before, but anything Misery is okay in my book.
Yeah, it looks like it's just a shirt and not an entire collection. The art looks fantastic. It's officially licensed by the original artist, and it's just it's definitely a beautiful piece. I mean, FRIGHT RAGS always goes above and beyond, especially when they're putting out stuff that they haven't done before or don't typically do. So this is definitely a must-buy for any fans of the movie. It looks like they have another Child Play Chucky collection coming out. I don't believe this is their first one. I'm pretty sure they've done one or two prior to this one.
Yeah, they had a bigger collection they released last year, but like it's going to be hard to top, to be perfectly honest. But their designs are so amazing that if you're a Chucky fan, you may as well sit tight for it.
Yeah, it looks like they have 4 brand new shirt designs. Some of them look pretty good. They have one for Child's Play 2 that looks awesome.
Do they have any that are coming out from the new movies? That's what I'm curious about.
It doesn't look like it.
I'm just saying, and I'm not going to spoil the ending of the last movie, but I would totally wear that shirt with that scene outside of the place. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. So they have 4 new shirt designs. One looks really fantastic. I mean, they all look good, but the Child's Play 2 one, it looks just amazing. They have some new sock designs, it looks like. And what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 enamel pin designs.
Yeah, and I don't know where it started, the whole enamel pin craze, but like for the people that collect them, my God, there's just so much awesome out there. Like these companies are absolutely killing it with those designs.
Yeah, I don't get it either. It's just all of a sudden it's like everybody's making enamel pins, and
like I'm tempted to get a cork board, paint it black, and just start collecting them that way. Like hang it on my wall and just pin them into the cork board, because some of these designs are ridiculous. Like I almost bought one a week or 2 ago when Cavity Colors released their Street Trash pin. And I'm a huge fan of the movie Street Trash, so I'm like, I need it. What am I going to do with it?
Yeah, I just see them everywhere. They're not my thing, but people seem to be eating this shit up. So, same thing with these socks, these horror socks, these horror tube socks. They ain't my thing, but people seem to love them.
I do want Fright Rags horror pajama pants. I might buy a pair because I have like 6. That's what I lounge around in. I'm just like forever in slippers and pajama pants when I'm around home. So, it's only fitting that I have some sort of horror icon or something on them. So I'm considering it.
So these previews are not up on their sites right now. They should be. Let's see. They're going to be available Wednesday, January 10th for the Misery t-shirt, and Wednesday, January 17th for the new Child's Play collection. They're not up on the sites yet. You'd have to be a member of their mailing list to get the emails that's showing you the designs.
Do you happen to have the video or no?
No, I'm looking through the email right now.
Okay. Well, we're going to just tease it tomorrow on Dead Entertainment, as long as the article gets finished. Tomorrow or Friday. We'll have a big thing on Fright Rags and stuff, and just there's going to be a preview of a lot of the images, and if I remember correctly, I could get the video that we'll embed on there for all the upcoming designs they're going to be doing in 2018. And my God, the list of the names that are on there, like Devil's Rejects Fright Rags t-shirt, House of a Thousand Corpses, new shirts, they're going to be doing a friggin' Die Hard shirt. Like, there's so much cool stuff coming up from them within the next year.
Yeah, definitely. I posted a link to the embedded image in my email. That should work for anybody in chat who's interested in it.
Now that just went to a big jumble of XML gibberish.
Oh, it didn't work?
Nope.
Huh.
But in any case, go to our website and check out the article. Seriously. And buy their shirts, too.
That sucks. Yes, so hopefully we'll be able to show them off tomorrow when the article is up. It should be up. But yeah, definitely go check out their stuff. But Wednesday, January 10th and January 17th is when these new pieces go live from Fright Rags.
Yeah, they're such an awesome company. We're gonna be trying to get a interview with Ben, the owner of Fright Rags, just to sit down and talk to him about how he started the company from ground up. We've been supporters, as we said last week's episode, since like Fright Rags early days when they had like 6 T-shirts up at the wall at the convention we were at. And that's all they had, consistently for that year. So it's gonna be cool to sit down and basically talk about the journey from his perspective as a business owner, and geek out with him a little bit as longtime fans. We also might be doing an article. I've been Bates over here was pushing me into possibly doing a vendor spotlight article. Because like I said, we've been supporters of them for years, and I have a huge Fright Rags collection, to the point where I think if there should be something in place that's buy 50 T-shirts get one free or something like that. So I might be showing off my collection of Fright Rags T-shirts and just talking about how it's been becoming fans of a T-shirt company, as odd as that sounds.
Yeah. So we're definitely hoping to use them as our next vendor spotlight on deadentertainment.com. As Ray was saying, his collection of shirts is bigger than mine, so I thought he would be the perfect person to do the spotlight. So that's something to look forward to. And yes, we're gonna try to get an interview with Ben if he's not too busy at Monster Mania in March. We'll start putting out feelers for that pretty soon. See what he says. He's a pretty stand-up guy. He's a good guy. We've known him for a very long time. I don't want to assume anything, but I think we have a good chance of nailing that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're not vending. They vend all day and then they relax at night. If we could steal them for a good half hour just to sit down and talk with them, I think that would be more than enough, and it would satisfy us for sure. But like he said, like Matt said, he's a very stand-up person, very down to earth, and he takes time to talk to people. Like he recognizes us from all the years of support and shit like that. So he's very friendly, and I think it's going to be a good interview if he agrees to it.
Yep, definitely. All right, so I think that about does it for any horror news and topics we have for tonight. Got a few other geek-related things to talk about. The biggest one is Star Wars: The Last Jedi finally crossing 1 billion worldwide. I mean, that's not surprising to me. It was just a matter of time, despite all the flack and the negative feedback from certain fans. It's still a Star Wars movie, and it's going to make bank no matter what.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the fact that it's so polarized as far as fan opinion goes, only I guess it pushes that sort of curiosity in other moviegoers. You hear the people speaking the loudest and such, and you're like, okay, what could have been done differently, or how is this movie actually? When you go see it, so you'd have people curious about it in that regard. Plus, the holidays is huge when it comes to movie going. So, like Matt said, it was just a matter of time before it got there. But the impressive thing to me was the fact that it knocked out, I believe, Harry Potter for the second largest opening of all time, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I don't know how much more it's going to make. I mean, I actually thought it was going to make more, but with all that negative feedback that was hitting it, I was happy to see it finally hit 1 billion, but I don't seeing it doing too much more. I mean, it's not coming to the end of its theatrical run, but it's definitely made almost all that it's going to make at this point. But still happy to see it where it's at, and I'm really looking forward to episode 9 at this point. Yeah,
same here. I saw the movie again on Friday, and it just I was able to sit back and really take everything in, knowing I knew everything that was about to happen on screen. I wasn't as wide-eyed trying to take every little ounce of it in and understand the story. I had enough time to sit back and really, I guess, just enjoy the time and the experience of it all. The second time through, you were able to pick up on a lot of smaller things, very small character development, just in body language and little pieces of dialogue that move things along more so, and get the characters into a different spot of where they were in the first movie. So it's definitely an impressive movie, and I'm glad that it's doing so well.
Yep, I'm very happy that it is doing well despite all the, as I said, negative stuff floating around it. Looking forward to 9 in a few years, and not as excited for some of these solo movies. Like, personally, I don't really think I care much about a Han Solo movie. I would love to see an Obi-Wan movie or a Yoda movie.
Didn't they just announce Kenobi?
I think so.
Not too long ago? Yeah, I think it was recently.
But yeah, I would love to see an Obi-Wan movie. I would love to see a Yoda movie.
I'm not so against a Han Solo movie, and I realize a lot of people are, because we don't necessarily want to see a non-Harrison Ford take over the role.
It's not even that.
Well, that's a reason for a lot of people. But for me, I love the smuggling idea. In all of the other movies, the conversations that were had about the seedy underworld that he was a part of, and all this, let's be perfectly honest, Han Solo is a criminal, and those type of movies are always interesting, especially when they're taking place in a galaxy far, far away. So, for me, I guess a good way to put it is, I played a smuggler character on the Star Wars: The Old Republic video game. And the smuggling aspect was so interesting. The places that I visited, the crimes and stuff that I got into, even though I was part of the good guys, that pulled me in significantly. And I think that Han Solo is only going to have that. It's going to have a lot of that sort of thing that we heard about in conversation from Han Solo over the years, but we never really experienced. So, it's going to be an interesting ride, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of stuff that they want to do, and I think a lot of it's going to work. I don't think all of it is, but I mean, if we get stuff as good as Rogue One in terms of these spin-off movies, then I'm on board. I am all for it. And 100% invested.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I just watched Rogue One again on Saturday, and I don't care what anybody says. That movie it's a brilliant movie. It's very, very well done.
So 1 billion, which everybody was expecting, but to be honest, we were all expecting it a little bit sooner. It's still $1 billion.
Nothing to tear up over. And if you do, wipe it with a couple, $1 million bills. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. I was really hoping for a lot more. I'm still, to this day, trying to figure out how Avatar made however much money it did. What was it, like $2.5 billion, $3 billion? I don't know. That movie made so much money. I don't understand how.
I think it was confirmed that James Cameron sold his soul to the devil. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I heard.
I mean, I watched I at least tried to watch the movie a few times, and I can't get through it most of the time. And I love how they've announced Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5.
I thought they announced 6 too. But did you hear James Cameron backpedal on that a little bit? Recently, he said something along the lines of, we're going to make as many as the people want to see. So rather than confidently go forward, and say, hey, we're going to be making 6 of these fucking things, he's like, we're gonna shoot 2 and 3, and then we'll take it from there.
Well, The funny thing is that Star Wars hit 700 million domestically, and which is pretty damn close to what Avatar has made domestically. Avatar made, then again, we're not counting for inflation. Avatar is, when did that movie come out?
To be fair, Avatar, they were one of the first movies to bounce those ticket prices high for the 3D and stuff, and back then they had 3D premiums too on top of the ticket cost for IMAX.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking 2009, so I mean, inflation prices, probably, you're looking at at least $1 to $2 more per ticket, give or take. But domestic, that movie made 760 million. Altogether, it made almost 2.8 billion, and I don't understand. I can't figure it out.
Yeah, me either. Especially when you actually see the movie, but a box office take-in like that basically means people went to see this movie like 4 or 5 times, and they brought their families and all sorts of shit. But having watched the movie, and I'm not an Avatar hater, don't get me wrong on that, but the movie story is very paper thin. It's just really pretty to look at. So, I don't know how the return on investment works here. Like seeing it once, seeing the spectacle, and living in that world for that time, it doesn't seem like it'll appeal. It's very appealing to go back to it multiple times before it hits DVD and Blu-ray and stuff, of course.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was all flash, no substance. But I guess people didn't care, and the movie even to this day still looks beautiful. So, whatever. It made, I guess, what it deserved to make. I don't know. I mean, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes, and it's a slog in my opinion. A pretty slog.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. It was very, very way ahead of its time as far as graphics go, and that's a monumental achievement as far as I'm concerned. But is it going to have the same sort of situation for part 2 this far along? What did you say the movie came out? 2004? 9? 2009. Okay, so we're creeping close to that 10-year mark. Do people give a shit anymore? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I mean, by the time Avatar 2 comes out, I think most people are going to be like, oh, yeah, sequel to a movie came out in 2009. Okay.
Yeah, and the age gap is going to be really weird, too, because, the adults that went to see it might not care about that stuff as much anymore. The kids that went to see it might go for nostalgia, but they're probably too young to have kids of their own to take. All this stuff has to be considered, and these are not cheap movies. This is I think they're shooting 2 and 3 back to back. That's an expensive gamble, and I guess one that could be justified with the amount of money it made in the first place. But good lord, if these movies don't even come a fraction of that, if it doesn't come very close, they're in trouble. But James Cameron somehow always manages to make bank, so who knows?
Yeah, and I mean, some of that, what you're talking about the age gap might, happen, but look at the Harry Potter series. I mean, when that movie first came out, they were kids, and by the time that franchise ended, I mean, those kids were now adults.
Yeah, it's true. Didn't they just have a Harry Potter, world movie recently? It wasn't a Harry Potter movie, but it was something based in that world.
Oh, it was a spin-off movie, yeah, Fantastic Beasts.
Did it do as well as the other movies? That's what I'm wondering.
Well, that one's getting a sequel.
Okay, so I guess it did somewhat decent. What is it called? Fantastic Beasts?
And Where to Find Them, I think.
That's a mouthful.
So, yeah, I guess we'll see. Alright, so not wrapping up, we still got 1 or 2 more things to talk about, but Rian Johnson's new Star Wars trilogy is set to start shooting in June. Do we have any details on this trilogy?
Nothing yet, but based off of what I've read previously is that it's going to basically take the whole Star Wars universe into a new direction. It's going to leave the Luke Skywalker storyline behind and do what George did back in the day, and create a story with different locations, different characters, possibly even a different time period. Maybe they shoot into the past and touch upon between the Old Republic sort of story arcs and the Skywalker stuff. I have a feeling that it's going to be at a safe distance away from these, to the point where we're not going to be seeing any familiarities or familiar faces or anything like that.
I'm fine with that.
Me too, especially after The Last Jedi. I think he took some brave moves, and it's been long overdue in the series. So for him to take the entire series into a new trilogy that has all new content, I say bring it on.
Yeah, I can definitely get on board with that. But I guess maybe we'll start getting some information, when closer to the shooting dates.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't want a ton of information out there personally, but it's going to be interesting to see, what kind of morsels they offer us, I suppose.
I do hope
I was going to say, if they were smart, they do a tag at the end of episode 9, because I don't think we're going to see any of this trilogy till after episode 9.
Yeah, you're probably right. I do hope they touch on some of the stuff in the Old Republic. That's definitely a ton of content there. So
yeah, definitely, and they've got so much fan fiction in the expanded universe that they could realistically touch upon as well. And I know it's not canon anymore, but they are definitely, it's very apparent that they're picking and choosing little things to sprinkle into their movies from the EU. So it'd be interesting if they decide to do that with the new trilogy.
Yeah, well, I guess all we can do right now is just wait for some official information.
Yeah, that's true, and just keep enjoying the movies while they're making them.
Yeah, well, I think at this point they're never gonna stop making them.
I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with the fact that Star Wars is probably going to be made after I'm long gone. You know what I'm saying? I want to keep seeing these movies. So somebody find the Fountain of Youth or something, or figure out how they could transport these movies into our dead heads.
So, the main discussion for tonight, since there wasn't any really big news being dropped or anything real massive happening, we're going to kind of talk about what movies we're looking forward, what horror movies mainly, we're looking forward to the most in 2018. Because if we were just going to make it broad and say movies, I mean, obviously I'm sure I could speak for Mungus on this one, that we're both looking forward to Infinity War more than anything in our entire lives.
I mean, personally, I'm looking forward to Aquaman more, but
I'm
kidding.
Half naked Jason Momoa. I know how you feel about him.
I mean, who doesn't? To be perfectly honest,
I know he gets your seahorses off.
I think we should end the episode there. Sorry to say, but the episode 10 is our final episode. I'm done with this friendship, and I'm just kidding. We're gonna be back next week to drone on and on like we usually do, so don't worry.
Hopefully with less mentions of Aquaman.
I'm gonna do an all Aquaman episode just to spite you.
But more mentions of Yankee Candle.
Oh yes, they smell amazing.
Hey, I actually think I have a brand new Yankee Candle I haven't even lit yet. I'm not even kidding.
I'm about to print out a Dead Entertainment sticker and have you stick it on the candle, just so we can play like we have one, like they made one for us.
This is like some straight up crazy cinnamon. Yep, Yankee Candle, guys. Good shit.
That's hilarious.
I haven't even lit it yet. Brand new.
That's amazing. And where did you get this Yankee Candle? Did they send you one and not me?
I think somebody gave it to Tao for Christmas.
Yankee Candle.
It might have been.
Oh boy. You know, like that's gonna be our first sponsorship. Like we're gonna stumble into a sponsorship with Yankee Candle accidentally, and they're going to support a horror podcast for some fucking reason.
Hey, you know what? I'll take it. I like candles.
You're listening, Yankee Candle? Hook it up. Give us some candles. Black one smells like death. Our logo on it.
And by death, he means like black licorice.
Oh, that would be amazing. Like, why are we not pitching this to them right now in a boardroom? Like, I'm getting excited about a candle sponsorship that's never going to happen.
But you know what?
And we hope that you are too, Yankee Candle. If you guys are familiar with this, on Dead Entertainment, we did a Krampus live commentary where the running joke was we were sponsored by Yankee Candle, and it just went there's beating a dead horse, and then there's beating what was left of the mushed up remnants of the horse, and we went beyond that.
Alright, but to be completely honest, every scene in that movie had about 30 candles in it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where the joke came from. That's like, God, these people must have mortgaged their house to buy all of these candles, especially if they were Yankee candles. There was like 1,000 candles that these people had in every room.
Yeah, and like if they've been like this all their lives, they probably had a house fire at some point because all of them were lit and all of them were like very close to things that could easily go up. I'm just saying.
We're gonna start hashtagging Yankee Candle, and
I'm gonna do it for every episode announcement. Like I'm just gonna hashtag the shit out of it, and hopefully they see it.
So, yeah. So basically, I mean, obviously, our most anticipated movie is Infinity War. It just looks so friggin' good. It's a culmination of a magnitude that it's like once in a lifetime, in my opinion. But in terms of horror movies, for me anyway, I'm most looking forward to Meg, and
I was until Jason Statham got hired. Then my interest went down a little bit.
I don't hate him.
It's just I have bad memories of the time where he was in like every other very bland, terrible action movie in like the mid to late 2000s, and I don't like seeing his face in any movie anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch enough of his movies to really be turned off by him, but I was a big fan of the book when the book was written, and this movie has been stuck in development hell for years and years and years. So the fact that it's finally, coming out, it's a shark movie coming out in the summer. I mean, yeah, it's a no-brainer. And I mean, it's not just a big shark. It's a Titanic-sized prehistoric shark. I'm in.
Yeah, I'm on board for any shark movie, to be perfectly honest. So I will probably see it. But like I said, that's the one thing that kind of turned me off a little bit.
So yeah, that's probably my most anticipated movie in terms of big theatrical releases. Venom might be a close second, just because I'm really curious to see how they handle this.
I think you and everybody else. I think that's going to be where a large amount of the ticket sales are going to come from. Like, wait, this is a Venom movie and Spider-Man's not in it? Yeah. I'm intrigued. Let's go.
Yeah, because I mean they're doing the Lethal Protector storyline, which part of it doesn't have Spider-Man, but I mean the other part of it does have Spider-Man. So it's going to be interesting to see how they tackle the aspects where Spider-Man was fighting along with Venom in that story arc.
Yeah, I think that they're not giving everything away. I think we're going to be seeing the characters meet up at some point, one way or another, even if it's just a end credits tag. You know, Spider-Man's going to be in it. A lot of people talking about him not being in it are just trying to get clicks on their websites.
Yep. So it's yeah, definitely something I'm looking forward to too. As those are my two big theatrical releases for 2018, Meg and Venom. And as far as non-theatrical releases, well, obviously Death House, we talked about that earlier, but I'm also kind of excited for the new Puppet Master movie. I've been a big Puppet Master fan for a very long time. I enjoy almost all of the films. There's one or two I could care less about, but the rest I really do enjoy. But Puppet Master, The Littlest Reich, I'm looking forward to it big time. It's just one of those franchises that you just can't fucking kill. Can't do it.
Yeah, it seems like it. I've never seen any of the Puppet Master movies, so I'm not really too on board with it. I could give or take.
Well, I think I know what we're going to be watching, at least a handful, come Monster Mania.
I'd be cool with that. I'm always wanting to give a few a shot.
At least like the first two, possibly the third one. The first two are so good. I mean, some of the later ones are actually really good too. But the first two, man, it's just so good. So freaking good. Great movies. Definitely the best Full Moon has to offer anyway.
Hey man, I take your word for it, so we'll definitely look into it. Plus I see article opportunity for it too. You know, like when those movies come out, like many years ago, right?
Yeah, those were 80s.
So, like here I am in 2018, finally giving them a shot. It'd be interesting to see from a perspective of never having seen anything beyond the cover.
Well, you're missing out, but we'll change that soon. So yeah, that's definitely, because that's obviously not going to get a theatrical release, but that is a movie I'm really looking forward to, just because I've been a fan of the franchise for so long. And we're getting a couple new puppets and puppet designs in that movie, so definitely going to be a fun one. What are you most looking forward to?
The theatrical, I guess my biggest, most anticipated movie is going to be the remake or reboot or rehash, whatever you want to call it, of the new Halloween movie. Just so much, like they're doing all the right things as far as interesting me, and just they keep on, just tossing me a snack, of news, and it's just like it's pulling me in more and more with each news bite that we get. Like most recently, the return of the dude that played the Shape originally. Like he's coming back to the series to do what he did 40 years ago. That's very awesome to me. So that's probably one of my top and most anticipated. And the next one's probably going to be a Marvel movie, a Marvel property, New Mutants, which is probably the closest to horror superhero movie we'll ever see. And if you've seen the trailers, it straight up looks like a horror movie. Like the posters, they're leaning very heavily into this horror aesthetic, as far as the marketing campaign goes, and I don't see that changing when it comes to the actual movie. It seems like we're going to be taking a view into the X-Men, sort of, the mutants and stuff from X-Men, in a way that we never really anticipated or seen before too much. The horror of dealing with this crazy body change that these mutants are going through. So, I'd imagine it'd be a scary thing, and they're basically leaning heavily into it. So that's going to be pretty awesome to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, don't forget, we got Blade, and that was kind of a superhero horror movie.
Yeah, exactly. And if this movie does well, we're definitely going to be seeing more of those type of movies come to pass. Like where there's already talks about Blade coming back in various forms. Also, there's the Morbius movie that we talked about in another episode. The living vampire, the human vampire. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, living vampire.
Living vampire. So, if New Mutants does well, I could totally see Sony launching into that, like into high gear when it comes to that movie. So, I'm looking forward to the movie and the reverb that comes after the potential success.
Yeah, I think if they do good with New Mutants, I think if they do good with Venom, we could see a resurgence in this type of superhero horror franchise. I mean, maybe that's what it's going to need to kick off like a new Ghost Rider franchise. Bring Blade back into the forefront of superhero movies. It's definitely something to look forward to, just because these could really give us a whole new subgenre for comic book movies.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. A couple of the smaller screen movies that I'm pretty much looking forward to, and it's the one that we talked about earlier, The Night Sitter. I'm not exactly sure, what kind of release schedule this is going to be getting, but as far as I know, it's going to definitely be getting a DVD, Blu-ray release and such. Maybe theatrical, I hope. And it seems like it's going to be put out in 2018. And based off of that trailer alone, I'm very excited to see it.
Which one?
The Night Sitter that we talked about earlier.
Yes.
So that's going to be pretty impressive as far as I'm concerned. This is another theatrical one. I just got pushed back. I don't know exactly what the date is offhand, but the new movie that's going to be taking place in the Cloverfield universe, I'm in for. The last movie was just like mind blowing. It was a very, very awesome movie. I really enjoyed the original Cloverfield. So I just love the fact that all these years later they're still putting out these movies, and they're doing sequels in a way that aren't usually done. They're taking different type of movies and just making them and putting them into this universe and very loosely connecting them. So it kind of takes away from that. Okay, well, we need to figure out how we could incorporate this person, this character, into another life-altering experience. It's different worlds, different areas, and it all takes place in the same universe. So it's going to be very interesting to me.
That's all you. I don't hate the Cloverfield franchise. It's just not something I ever really got into.
Definitely check out 10 Cloverfield Lane if you haven't. I'm going to drop it on you right now. John Goodman.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm very much looking forward to the return of Roseanne.
Oh, me too. That's not horror, but Jesus, I can't wait for that. I might actually binge the other ones.
Hey, it may not technically be horror, but let's be honest, it had the best Halloween episodes of any sitcom ever.
And while I agree with that, Dan is technically a zombie in this new one. If you really want to get friggin' down to it, Dan's resurrected from the dead, so he might be having some parts fall off of him and stuff. I mean, that would be an interesting take on Roseanne.
Wait a second. We can dive in a little deeper into this horror aspect of the show. So Dan technically is a zombie, and Becky might possibly be a pod person, because there's two different Beckys.
That is very true. I like it. Why are we not pitching this in a board meeting? We should schedule a slate of meetings and just pitch all this stuff. We'll leave this one horse podcast behind and start making movies and TV.
Yeah, I mean, Becky's a pod person. I mean, and they kept changing her. She kept going back from one actress to the other actress, and the family was sort of self-aware, but they couldn't really quite put their finger on what was going on. And I think it's classic pod people behavior if I've ever seen it.
Oh my god! I feel like there's a very strong fan fiction in here somehow. Or a Halloween episode. That would be an amazing Halloween episode if they touched upon all this, all these weird inaccuracies from the original versus toward the new one.
You know who would be loving this conversation right now?
Who's that?
John.
Oh, is he a big fan?
Yeah, Squires.
Oh, right. Yeah, oh, of course. He would probably have he'd probably be like 3 steps ahead of us already.
Yeah, right. He would have found like 12 other horror connections in the show.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I don't want to sit here and think about it because we're already nearing that 2-hour mark, but still, I like it. Zombie Dan and Pod Person Becky. Or oh my god, this would be really cool. Like if they did all this weird stuff in a Halloween episode, and pointed out that stuff, and then at the end of the episode, it turned out to be like a comic book that Darlene and what was her boyfriend's name?
Mark.
Johnny Galecki. Mark. Yeah. Mark was Becky's boyfriend.
It was the other one. David.
David, right? As a comic book that the two of them were drawing and writing.
Well, it's funny. In the very first episode where David appeared, he actually called himself Kevin. His real name is Kevin.
Oh, really?
And then for whatever reason, they changed it to David the next time he was in an episode. And then they made jokes about it in like later seasons. Like there's this one joke, and I think Dan and Roseanne were talking about David, and she goes, "Oh, that's not even his real name."
I love it.
So those are the movies we're definitely most looking forward to. As I said, I mean, Infinity War is definitely on the top of the list, and it's not even close to anything else.
There's one other movie that I'm kind of psyched for. I don't know if it's definitely going to get a release in 2018, but I think it's on track to. Pennywise, the story of it. Dead Mouse Productions and Cult Screenings UK Limited are making. They originally made a Leviathan Hellraiser documentary called Leviathan: The Hellraiser Story, and they just they are killing it when it comes to these documentaries. They also made a Fright Night documentary and RoboCop documentary, as well as Pet Sematary documentary. Jesus, the list goes on and on. But point is they're making a documentary surrounding the original Stephen King. I guess it was a miniseries for it. So we're no doubt going to get very interesting interviews with the cast and crew, probably behind the scenes stuff that never made its way to the DVD, and just a perspective from all these like actors and actresses that like really raised past this miniseries and moved on to big and better things, and I guess take a look into how it survived as long as it did.
Yeah, I mean, you had brought up Pet Sematary a second ago. It's another movie we're getting a remake of.
That's true. I'm not sure it's 2018, but still, that's going to be pretty awesome. What I want, if we're talking remakes of Stephen King stuff, is I want The Stand, like, now.
I don't know. Can I get a remake of Dark Tower already, or is it too soon?
I don't know if there's interest on any of the networks, but I hear that they're trying to go back and do the TV show, but it's going to be a complete reboot. I was very, very content with everything, all the casting decisions and everything like that, but it just was in production hell for way too long, and it morphed into something that it probably shouldn't have after all these years of trying to get that movie off the ground.
Yeah, the story behind that movie, like the story, the story of the Dark Tower. It seems like one of those movies that should have been made in like the mid to late '80s, and it should have ended up looking like other like fantasy type movies, like fucking Legend or Labyrinth or something, or Willow, and everything was like no CGI. That's the kind of magic that movie needed, and it didn't have it.
And I think that magic could completely be captured had there been a network that was kind of dedicated like HBO is to Game of Thrones. Like if Showtime went balls to the wall with the Dark Tower television series, Lord knows they have more than enough content to make that work. And if they followed along the lines of the same It's the same way HBO treats Game of Thrones and Westworld and stuff. You know, they would have a surefire hit on their hands. But now that they put like their bad foot forward on the movie, you know, that might be tainted. So we might have to wait a little bit before that actually, you know, gets made. Who knows? So.
Yep. So yes. So those are our most anticipated films, both horror and I guess sort of non-horror in some aspects of 2018. It should be a pretty good year for films. I mean, right now coming up, we have Black Panther coming up in a month. That should be another hit for Marvel.
There's just unbelievable amount of movies coming out this year that I'm excited for. Just like we would have been on it 2 hours alone if we opened it up to regular movies.
Yeah, without a doubt. So that is going to wrap it up for us tonight. I don't think we had anything else. No.
I was like, you know, a few topics ago, I was like, wow, we're gonna actually end early, and here we are.
Yeah, I'm blaming Roseanne and Yankee Candle. So
I do blame Yankee Candle, but I also love them, and just the same way I love Roseanne.
So yes, that's gonna do it for us tonight, guys. As for shoutouts, you know, my usual thing. You know, I'm gonna shout out Fright Rags again, even though we already dedicated an entire topic to them tonight. But definitely go check out Fright Rags and go to them for all your horror apparel. If you need something to put on your walls, then go to our other favorite vendors at Gray Matter Art. That's Gray, Grey, and you know you'll find whatever the fuck you want there. The best posters you can buy right now, in my opinion. As for my Twitter shoutouts, the same people as always: Kim Fall, Horror Movie BBQ, Max Fishers, Jonathan Barkin, Freddy in Space, and my buddy Matt Iokai. And make sure you go check out my buddy Tard over on Twitch. That's www.twitch.tv/TARDULV. He's actually the only person I watch on Twitch because I fucking hate Twitch, but I rant enough about Twitch over on my my gaming channel, so I'm not going to do that here. You can also find me on Twitter at Bates_MotelMT, and you can follow some of the stuff that I write about over on deadentertainment.com. So make sure you guys check that out. I should have 2 articles going live tomorrow. Both are things we touched on tonight. And I think that about does it for me. What do you got tonight?
I've only got one. Like I was kind of rushing to find things to talk about tonight, so I really didn't look into shoutouts this evening. But I do want to give a shout out to a bookstore in Burbank, California, called Dark Delicacies. They have all these really cool fan events happening sporadically. And to celebrate the release of the Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon comic book, issues 1 and 2, they're going to be doing a signing this Friday, 7 p.m., January 5th. And their event is going to be a signing with the original actor that played Leslie Vernon, well, the actor that played him, Nathan Basil. Angela Gothals was who played Taylor. If I said that wrong, I apologize. The writer, David Steve, and the director and co-writer, Scott Glosserman. The on hand will also be the comic book's illustrator, Nathan Thomas Milliner, who trust me, you've seen this dude's art if you're a horror fan. So if you are in the Burbank, California area or want to take a flight, Lord knows, go check it out. You get more information about that event and other events that they have at darkdel.com. del.com. They also they have a store on their website that you could pre-order stuff. If you live out of the area, you could probably buy a comic or two, and they'll have it signed by the people on hand and ship it out. So check it out again, darkdel.com. And I think that's going to be it for me tonight. You can follow me on Twitter at Ray Mungus. Don't forget to follow our Twitter and Facebook pages. Twitter is at wayoflifenet, and Facebook is facebook.com/wayoflifenet. And as always, you could find us on deadentertainment.com, writing our poor little souls away. So that's about it for me.
Yep. As I said, I should have 2 articles going live tomorrow. I don't even know if I'm going into work tomorrow. Right now, it's like every time I look at it, they're upping the storm we're getting. But I haven't gotten any other emails, or rather texts from my job about possibly canceling work. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. But regardless, I should hopefully have my articles done and up tomorrow. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. We will obviously be back next week for more. Please, if you haven't already, sub to the channel. If you think any of your friends would like us, just go ahead and shoot them a link to our channel. And yeah, just thank you again for hanging out with us as usual. We will definitely see you next week, same time, same day. And yeah, just remember.
What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.